This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. Shout out to everyone who is tuned in around the world, whether it's 95 FM, Pulse95Radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority. If you're chilling at home, watching us live on YouTube. And thank you for everyone as well who's tuned in on the Instagram Live. Shout out to Natalie, Mac, Sharath, Mustafa, the champions, and also, who else have I got here? And Tashreeq, of course. How are you guys feeling today, and how are we going to spend the next hour on the Halftime Show? Well, let me tell you, Giannes Antetokounmpo. Now, I struggle with this name. It's one of those names I struggle with, but why is he the modern-day hero? For those that don't know who he is, you're going to find out on the show and what makes him so special. As we know, the Tokyo Olympics 2020 is happening, although it is 2021. Tokyo 2020 has been pushed, obviously, forward to a year later due to COVID. But how has it been so far? And what have you guys noticed about it? Is there something specifically at the Tokyo Olympics that has kind of taken your eye? Because it's very easy to kind of oversee certain things or to miss certain points. So we're talking about that as well. In the health and fitness segment, we're also going about something which some of us struggle with. Me. And at the moment, it is how hard is it to get that fitness bug? Now, if you don't know what a fitness bug is, it's sometimes this bug that you get, but actually a positive thing in health and fitness, and that's trying to achieve consistency and being able to have a routine, which some of us struggle with, especially through the ups and downs that we face in everyday life. So we're discussing that as well on the show, and we're also taking all your questions and answers throughout the show. So make sure you stay tuned on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. Thank you very much for tuning in around the world, and shout out to everyone who is locked in for the hour on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show. Okay, right. So, a couple of things to sink our teeth in for the next hour. The first segment, now I get a lot of basketball fans, including my man Big Hass, who always says, Omar, we go talk about more basketball. I know and I know Ray always love their basketball as well. So I'm going to be mentioning that today. And why is it that I'm talking about this specific person? Now, I struggle with his surname, but I'm going to try and do it again. Giannes Can we say this together? Giannes Antetokounmpo. Is that right, Ara? Yeah? Right, okay. Why is he the modern day hero? Now, a lot of the times we look at sport, we look at, the icons, the figures out there. We often see people who are quite lavish, quite out there, quite extravagant. But there's a new wave of athlete at the moment. And you see people like Francis Ngannou, and you see people like, obviously, Giannis. And I'm just going to say Giannis. Not our Giannis, but this Giannis. And the making of a legend is here. Now, Giannis may have secured the Bucks' first title since 1971, but why has basketball, as a sport, won overall after this man's success with his team? What is it about this athlete that makes him stand head and shoulders above everyone else in the sport? This is something that, I've been kind of monitoring for a while now. And we look at the different types of athlete out there. We look at their struggle, their journey, the first, of their kind. And I think with this one, especially being a proud Greek, as he says, his nickname is the Greek Freak. There's a lot behind this basketballer that should be admired. And why is he the modern day hero? That's down to his level-headedness, his journey, his story, the belief in what he needs to do to achieve success, not necessarily by joining a massive team, and that's no disrespect to the Bucks, but also looking at what the previous basketballers have been, have done and how have they been successful. And if you look at the names like LeBron James and KD, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard, and half a dozen of the other NBA so-called superheroes, almost like the Space Jam of basketballers. Why does this man deserve to be in that bracket? Well, it's easy to forget that 3 weeks ago, his injury almost had him out of the championship, and that was the first thing that we were thinking about in terms of the Bucks playoff run. Then there's also something which he delivered, perhaps the best performance of his career and at the best possible moment. And sometimes we talk about how important is it to show up when the pressure is on, and that's exactly what Giannes Antetokounmpo, I can't say his name, has done in recent success with the Bucks. Now, we also look at his journey, and I had some notes down here actually from where this guy has come from. He's the only NBA player to win MVP and Most Improved Player. He sold watches and DVDs to help his parents earn some extra cash as a youngster. And during his rookie season, he ran to training due to a lack of money. Now, these things are often said, but how often are they true? This modern superhero is someone that definitely deserves a mention. He's now being talked about all around the world, and rightfully so. I also like the fact he's representing his country in a way where it's easy to kind of go under a different umbrella. What do I mean by that? You look at so many different athletes nowadays, and whether it's the British or the Americans, and they have a lot of athletes under their belt, and normally you wouldn't have guessed where their roots are from, where their origins are from. This is something that I love about Giannis Antetokounmpo, as I was telling my friend earlier. He's almost the NBA's poster guy right now, and he's almost someone that a lot of people admire. Why has this been good for basketball? Why has this been good for sport? Because he's done it his way. He's done it through hard work. He's matched up against the best of the best, and they've come out, with flying colors, and they got the championship. And now all of a sudden, one of the things I liked what I saw is he went to a chicken shop in the US and asked for 50 nuggets. My kind of guy, man. That's the first thing he did. He went over and thought, I'm going to treat myself and add some nuggets. And see, this is my point about different athletes. Sometimes, people change over time, over success, the social groups that they're in, social media, the hype, the belief. Not with this one. And that's the message I think he's sending out to a lot of youngsters, especially with where he's come from, how he's represented his family, obviously being the first Greek to achieve this kind of success in basketball, and also winning MVP and Most Improved Player in the same year. Like that's for me something that deserves a big shout out. And I thought I would kind of bring that to the show today, because I'm looking at all these different athletes nowadays, and normally you got to have something about you to stand out. You not only do you have to look the part, you have to play the part, and you also have to do what people don't see you do behind the scenes, the training, the amount of hours, sacrifice, the discipline, not being able to socialize sometimes with your friends due to that goal that you have that maybe someone else doesn't have. And that's why, I'm going to say this one more time, Giannis Antetokounmpo, is that right? Yeah. That's why I've chosen to highlight him as the superhero. I won't be saying that on the show again. Anyway, right after the break, we're talking Tokyo 2020 Olympics on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95.
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. Man, even we get mumbling words, sometimes we start to mumble. Right, the Tokyo 2020 is happening at the moment now. It's kind of different this year, I think, with, the amount of, let's say, events that are happening following COVID and the restrictions. Now, obviously the Euro's finished and Tokyo 2020 has started. Are we watching it? Are people getting involved in in getting into that kind of Olympic vibe? Because that's something a lot of the times we look forward to. And if so, with all these things that are happening, what are you looking forward to the most? There's plenty of stuff happening out there in Tokyo 2020. There's new sports. The COVID situation has affected, the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, obviously with fans and not having them there, and then the breakouts happening as well. It's kind of tough to enjoy it to the fullest. Of course, it's still exciting, super exciting, but the games will be held in 42 competition venues, if you didn't know, and most of them are located in Tokyo. What's the COVID-19 situation like in Japan? Tokyo is under the 4th state of emergency, which began last week because of a surge of new COVID-19 cases, as infections are propelled by more contagious Delta strains of the virus. On Sunday, 2 South African footballers became the first athletes inside the Olympic Village to test positive for COVID-19. There's been many after that have tested that. All 3 of those people were moved to Tokyo 2020 isolation facility, which is something that they're doing at the Olympics at the moment. Now, the question, obviously, a lot of people asking, will there be any fans? Fans from abroad were banned months ago. So no fans will be allowed at any of the Olympic sports in Tokyo and 3 neighboring prefectures. A few outlying venues may allow the small number of local fans, but Tokyo 2020 has effectively become a TV-only event. Now, that's one thing which is good for ratings, to be able to kind of watch that. But what are you looking forward to the most? You know, I was listening yesterday to a famous radio station in the UK, and they were saying that there's certain sports that should be there by merit, and there's certain things that shouldn't be there. And some of the new sports that people are talking about at the moment now is the sports climbing, which is an artificial rock wall. Will combine 3 disciplines: speed climbing, bouldering, and lead climbing. Now, if you've never done climbing before, I'll tell you one thing: it is a workout, and a lot of people had issues with if you've done it for the first time. It's very, very tough. So the fact that that's in the Olympics, I think that's justified, definitely. 40 athletes will take part in surfing for the first time at the Games. So hey, listen, surfers out there, then now you've got something to aspire to get to. That's the Olympics, competing on 6 feet long shortboards. Skateboarding is the other one. Now, some people might go, what? Skateboarding? Really? But hey, listen, you got to take advantage of what you got now. You know what I mean? There's these new sports that are happening at the moment now, and people are really, really getting into it. Skateboarding will include 2 events, park and street, as will karate, which will consist of kata and kumaite. For those that know, in karate, there's obviously katas, and katas go through different levels. And obviously, as you get through the different levels and different disciplines, you get to your black belt. But between that, there's like a nice form of movement that they call katas, and anyone that's done karate will know that. Mufid is saying paddle tennis. Terry saying, did you say South African footballers? Didn't even know we sent a team. Well, yeah, apparently that's that's what happened. I think there's also something else I have to say. You know, I'm not sure if you watched the Naomi Osaka documentary. Very, very interesting, and especially that we've highlighted her on the show, someone who pulled out of the tennis championships, French Open, I think it was Roland Garros, due to mental health challenges she was facing. And I watched this documentary the other day, and I have to say, I was really, really engaged in what she was saying. I believed her as well. You know, sometimes you watch these documentaries and you think that the person involved might be playing for the camera a bit, might be using it to elevate their career. I think the fact that she's been number 1 and she's got herself to the top of the tennis seeds, obviously with Barty, etc., I think that was something cool. But if you haven't watched the documentary, definitely check it out. It's not that long. I think it's 4 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, and it's on Netflix. Very interesting. Another one like Giannes Antetokounmpo, thank you, Mackie, for that, who has stood by her country, which is Japan. Now, she's mixed, obviously, by race and origin, but I really love the fact that she, you know, has all these cultures infused in one person, and she may not be a big fan of the limelight or the media, etc., but she does represent, you know, a very unique character in sport, and the message that she stands for and what she's trying to do. And yesterday, we were talking about the Olympics. She was the person that actually lit up the Olympic cauldron, which, if you don't know, that's one of the biggest deals in the Olympics. You always see who's going to represent, who's going to do that, and she did that, and proudly so, in her Japanese colors during the opening ceremony at the Olympic Stadium as well. Very, very interesting. I think that's one of my favorite athletes out there at the moment now. I'm very intrigued by her personality and what she stands for, and I thought I'd share that with you guys, because we've got, like I said, we've got a new wave of athletes that are reaching the highest levels in sport, be it tennis, be it football, be it rugby, be it mixed martial arts, be it basketball. And sometimes, you know, if you're not loud or if you're not out there, then people don't take notice of you. But when you get to the top and you do it through a different route, there's a lot of respect there. You know, not saying there's no respect to the other ones, but you know, you kind of notice that and think, wow, okay, you don't have to be a certain type of character to reach the top. And I really like that. So if you haven't watched the Naomi Osaka documentary, definitely check it out. I thought it was excellent. I actually wish there was more. And unfortunately, there wasn't as much that I wanted to see because obviously it had been filmed a while ago. And so they didn't have it when she pulled out of the French Open and Wimbledon as well. So I would like to hopefully see more of that and see what she's about because I thought she was very, very interesting. Right, okay, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back after this. Enjoy, what's this, Rog and featuring Joe Killingham.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Yes, we are back on the Halftime Show on Pulse 95 Radio. Shout out to everyone who is tuned in. Right, okay, for this segment, we got a couple of things. The health and fitness segment actually has been quite popular. A lot of people have been dropping me messages and saying, yo, Omar, you know, here's a suggestion or an idea we want you guys to discuss on the show. And one of the things I'm picking up on is how hard is it to get the fitness bug? Now, if you don't know what a fitness bug is, it's when you get into that place where you've got the bug and it's actually a healthy bug, not a bad bug. It's a healthy bug where you feel like you can't live without exercise or looking after your food or meditating or, doing things that are good for your body, reaching you to optimal level. And amongst those is, finding yourself a routine. Now, a lot of people, when it comes down to the holidays, like we just had an Eid holiday, for example, now, that kind of get a bit lazy. Maybe you take their foot off the gas, and that's okay as well. I have to say, as long as it's just a little phase, not like me. But if that's the case, how hard is it to get the fitness bug? And have you reached a point, and here's a question for you guys. I think I was like this before my injury. Have you reached a point where you felt sick at not being active? And that is something which is good because we've often heard that movement is medicine. And if movement is medicine, then it normally puts you in a place where if you don't exercise, you feel cranky, you don't feel good about yourself, you feel like something's missing. It's like a fix. And so if you have done that, text us on 4215 Itasalat or slide into my DMs and let me know. If movement is medicine, then what is your fix? What works for you? Is it exercise of a certain specific type? Is it boxing? Is it running? Is it walking? Is it yoga? Is it playing, a team sport? As you know now in the Olympics, there's many sports that are, classified as sports now. So you've got plenty of things to pick from. And if so, what is it? And I'm asking you this because I think a lot of the times we're in it, so we don't really see it. Before the break, I asked, how did you spend your Eid? And Maria said, did staycation, read and slept. Yes, thank you very much for that post, by the way, Maria. Thank you for reading Reset. I'm glad it worked. Murad is saying, just moving because you don't move enough. Yep, that's another good one. Mustafa, feels weird whenever I skip the training at the gym. Very good, Mustafa. I like that. That's the thing. It does come down to it. We sometimes take our health for granted. And then when you're not allowed to do something or you're not able to do something or instructed not to do something, you kind of miss it. I think I've definitely fallen under that, Mustafa, for sure. And I miss you guys at the gym, which is really good. I like that. I think that's kind of the thing, Masood saying, yes, definitely, especially during lockdown, every gym shut down and nowhere to exercise. Later, I built my own gym at home. Excellent. Very good, Mustafa. Masood, sorry. I'd love to see what your gym looks like. I'm sure it looks great in India at the moment. You can get creative with that. There's so many factors. I think that's the thing. When lockdown happened, people were saying, we can't go out anymore. And that was really tough mentally as well as physically. And then people wanted to do things more outdoors as well, which was interesting because when you prevent someone from doing something, they want to do it. And so you saw a lot of people running outside, a lot of people walking outside, which was interesting in during lockdown. But now I think things, I wouldn't say are fully back to normal, but thankfully in Sharjah and the UAE, we're able to, at least through social distancing, etc., go to gyms and go out for walks and do things where it's clear for for your head and for your body and for your soul. And that's the thing with the fitness bug. When you associate bugs with anything in terms of fitness or medicine, normally it's a flu or something that gets you a bit low. I think the fitness bug is actually something positive and something healthy, and that's why we're talking about that today on the show, because fitness bug is something when you have it, you just know that that's something that you plan all your day around. And I'm not saying it's everything. I'm saying that, for example, if you know you have work or you have family time or you have to spend time with the kids, you know that you have that 1 hour or 45 minutes or even half an hour for yourself. And that is super key in getting the fitness bug. But I want to hear from you. 4215 Itasalat, or do slide into my DMs at Omar Duri and let me know. Murad is saying lockdown was tough. I have seen people return to the office after a year and I couldn't recognize them, men and women. It's serious, and people are still going through that. Murad continues to say people gained a lot of weight, including myself. Yeah, I think that's the thing when it becomes your lifestyle and let's say you have to adapt. Sometimes adaptation takes a while to get used to, routine and what you can and what you can't do. I'm going through that at the moment now, currently, and it's definitely more challenging than expected, and not even through lockdown, but through setbacks, which we all have. But looking forward to being back in the gym this week, hopefully, and shout out to Miffy as well for looking after me up to this point. See, you get to meet a lot of people and you get to experience a lot of things and see people's true colors through setbacks, and that's why it's actually a blessing in disguise, and I'm very grateful for the crew for being there during this tough time. Okay, Masoud sends a message saying, what's the state of your mind when you aren't able to work out and feel that way? Any changes you experience at physical and mental level? Very good question, Masoud. Yes. When you're so used to training and even the journey, the car journey to the gym and back, you kind of factor that in your schedule. Not having that, you kind of get, I kind of get a bit lazy, and you're not able to do things at the level you want to do them. So there's two ways about it. You can either feel sorry for yourself, which again is perfectly normal and common. I've gone through that as well. But the moment that you realize that you just have to at least keep moving, I know it's such a cliche, but you just have to keep moving through anything you can to make that recovery smoother when you come back. I think that's a huge factor and something that I've learned from all this. And also, do things that make you happy. I think it's very, very key, mentally and physically. A lot of things, whether it's some coloring mentally, some breath work, or even physically, whether you've got to go for a walk or do something. It's hard. I completely get it. But I guess at the end of the day, you just got to work with what you have, and it makes the comeback even more sweeter. Masoud, yeah, I get that. I can feel that. It's like you feel incomplete. Yes, Masoud, absolutely. But the comeback is up, and it's coming soon. So shout out to everyone who is tuned in. We're going to take a quick break. Here's some, what's this? Die For You by Snake Hips and Jess Glynn. Enjoy it, folks. See you in a bit.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It's that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. Shout out to Florin, who just joined us from New York. Right, okay, so a lot on the show today. Giannes Antetokounmpo, there you go, Maki. See, I got it now, thanks to you breaking it down for me. Was mentioned on the show today, being the modern day superhero and why his success in basketball with the Bucks is victory for basketball and for sport in general. We also spoke about Tokyo 2020 on the show, and also in the health and fitness segment, we spoke about having the fitness bug. So if you haven't caught the show, make sure you head over to the YouTube channel Pulse 95 Radio, or even if you prefer a podcast, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud. It's got all of our episodes on there, talking all sorts of good stuff on there. Shout out to Florin as well, who, by the way, when I was away for the week, he's like, Omar, what, no show? Like, what the hell, man? Shout out to my boy Florin on the show. Okay, right. So a couple of things as well that's happening at the moment. Obviously, South Africa going to be facing the Lions in a huge challenge in the first test in rugby. Yeah, I see you rugby fans talking out there. Man United boss Solskjaer signs a new deal. Hey, listen, you thought I was going to go the whole show without talking football? Well, I thought I'd just drop that in there. Tokyo 2020, day one, GB women in action against host Japan. That's happening. The road cycling, that's another thing. At the moment now, it's 55 minutes gone, and Japan versus Great Britain women's is 0-0. Road cycling, men's road race, Great Britain's Geraint Thomas saw his medal hopes in the men's road race dashed after crashing for second successive games in Ecuador's Richard Carapaz won gold at the Tokyo Olympics. Okay, what else have we got here? Let's see. A couple of things actually on the headlines. Just trying to see if there's anything that I've missed for you today that's just coming through right now. Murray and Salisbury through in doubles in Tokyo, but Watson goes out. Fight for your dreams. Tokyo's youngest Olympian after first round defeat. I love that. I love a story. We like that. Florin and Fahad and Mohammed are happy that they're in the Instagram room at the moment now. And of course, shout out to Minna as well. Riverbed in the building. Okay, so there are a few things actually. Now, we've had a couple of guests recently on the show from different backgrounds, doing big things. So I'm kind of looking at, the different shows I've had coming up to show 300. Can you believe that? 300 shows almost on the halftime show. I think I'm not sure if we got 9 or 8 more left on the halftime show, but who would have thought? And that's thanks to you guys. Florin, how the show is part of my routine, so when I don't see it, you throw me off. Apologies, Florin. I'll be a bit more considerate, hopefully, and be able to keep you going. And if there's anything that you guys want to hear more of or want me to go into more, this is the time. And that's not only because the Premier League isn't on, it's because, we like to try and switch it up here on the halftime show. But we had Nawaf on recently. We had Nashwat Antawi as well from that was interesting, that episode. The difference between the psychologist and a psychiatrist. That was really cool. I love that. That was good. And, like I said again, for someone who doesn't have a co-host and has you guys who tune in, and even if you can't make it, you do, check out the YouTube and you do leave your feedback, and that always inspires me to come up with more content for you guys and do things the proper way. And I'm so happy that I can share that with you guys. You guys have been fantastic on the halftime show. What's up, Brad? We got Brad in the building. Shout out to Zan as well. Man, the whole family is here. So yeah, we were talking about Giannes Antetokounmpo, there, said it. And we talked about Tokyo 2020, and we talked about the fitness bug on the show today. But there will be much more of the show and myself every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, 3 to 4 UAE time, usual. And like I said, Florin, don't worry, man, I got your back. If you do miss it, you can always catch it on the YouTube. Right, that's me. I'm out sending you guys love and energy. Hope you guys have a fantastic Saturday, and I will see you back here on Monday. Don't go anywhere on Monday at 3 to 4. See you. Peace and love, guys. Here's Feelings by Awa.
If you liked this episode of The Halftime Show, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.